Greetings, loves. Welcome to the DTFH. Before we get going with this episode, I want to apologize. I was looking at the Daryl Cooper comments, and some people are like, what the fuck with the ads? And, I looked at that and I'm thinking, come on, relax. Like, really? It can't be that bad. But it was. It really was. We didn't realize that YouTube had automatically put ads like every 2 minutes. I can't believe the number of people that watched that thing. And I'm so sorry about that. We just didn't know. So we've fixed that. So if you dropped out of that episode, which was one of my favorite episodes of the show, because you're like, I'm not going to get stroboscopic ads from you, you greedy fuck. We fixed that. Now there's only 32 ads versus 796. Also, if you are being distracted by the ads, don't forget you can become a member of this channel and you will have ad-free episodes. If you're listening to this and you like the audio version, go to patreon.com/DTFH to get ad-free episodes over there. I got shows coming up. Please come see me if you're listening to this the week of April 19th. I'm going to be at Meow Wolf, Denver Convergence Station. There's an awesome festival happening there. All the links you need to find that are at DuncanTrussell.com. At April 24th, I'm going to be at the Capitol Hill Comedy Bar in Seattle, Washington. Now, I don't know what's going on with this. Somehow the name of this venue seems to have changed. So if you go on my website, it's going to say Emerald City Comedy Club. So I don't know what's going on exactly here. It's a little confusing, but just go to emeraldcitycomedy.com. You can find tickets for that, Seattle, and I'm excited to see you. I haven't been to Seattle in a bit. Then I'm going to be at the Comedy Zone in Greenville. That's May 9th. And then I'm going to be at Wise Guys in Vegas, May 15th. And then in June, I'm coming back home to the Comedy Mothership, June 6th, 7th, and 8th. Now, everybody, get ready for a wonderful podcast with one of my dear friends. Ian Fidance is such a cool guy. He's so brilliant and funny. And yeah, I know the subway thing that you guys are probably all thinking about, the trouble he got in recently, might make you not want to dive into this. But I'm telling you, the story you've heard about the New York subway event is not what happened. And I invited Ian on the show to set the record straight about what happened between him and the body and all that. So if you please have an open heart and open mind and just know that sometimes the media slants things. And everybody, please welcome to the DTFH, Ian Fidance. Bend me over, bang my ass and bend me over, bang my ass and don't forget the lube. I don't use lube. Fuck me dry and slam it in, yeah. Fuck me dry and let's play in, yeah. Fuck me dry and let's play in, yeah.
Sponsored by Pure Moods.
Sail away, sail away, sail away. You know that fucking song?
Played all the time in the rehab I went to. Yes.
Oh, God. And that song, you listen to it, and at first you're like, oh, so I really do like this when it first came out. And then you realize, this is like the most classist fucking song.
What?
That is pull up Josh, can you pull up the lyrics to Sail Away?
Wait, make sure it's Sail Away and not that song that's like, sail, boom, boom, ding, ding, ding.
Enya, Orinoco Flow.
Wait, what's that Enya song that's like, who must sing on dingle na?
Listen, from Bissau to Palau in the shade of Avalon, from Fiji to Tyree in the Isles of Ebony.
She's just bragging about what cruises she goes on.
That's what I'm saying. No one can do this trip.
What?
No one does that trip. No one can do the Enya trip.
I don't have that much money.
This is
from the north to the south. Do you know how many miles it's going to take on my Delta card?
This is what Jeff Bezos' wife is saying where they're going next.
This is her soundtrack.
And then we're going to Bali and then Cali and then we're going to go
what
beneath
is this
the
line?
Coral Sea.
Spit on the help. What?
spit on the help,
Oh my God.
slap the nanny, and then go to Hawaii. Uh, um, so, Josh, could you please pull up a man has sex with corpse on New York subway?
I was in a bad spot. Okay. And
We
I've
can talk. Listen,
apologized.
I'm having you on the show because I want you to like not be canceled.
Thank
And
you.
I know that your angle on this is different than what
Yeah.
people think, and it's easy to misunderstand a thing like that.
And it's tough when the story gets out there and I can't control the narrative.
Now, yeah, first of all, I want to say your disguise. Okay, autopsy on corpse that was sexually violated on NYC subway train, unable to determine cause of death. So, but before we get
Well,
to,
I have an idea.
okay, now you can cut that. The victim was already dead when an unidentified necrophiliac had sex with his corpse at the Whitehall Street station on April 8th. So, now, let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now, because I think a lot of times people get caught up in the past, and this happened on April 8th. That might have was well been a million years ago, because what is time? It's a construct. So
It's a flat circle.
as you say. And so since then, I mean, we talked on the phone, and you were telling me some things you're doing to make amends for this.
First of all, I'm in Austin, and that's very cool, and I'm happy to be here.
Yep.
I am going to be staying here for a little while.
Yep. So you moved to Austin.
I'm just tired of New York. It's a lot.
But I'm saying more specifically, like, you know, the obviously people are shocked because they thought of you as many things, but they probably didn't think of you as a necrophiliac.
Right.
But
I'm doing a documentary on Norwegian black metal.
okay, there you go.
And so that is kind of a part of that genre is
Necrophilia.
necrophilia. And, you know, I don't know if you know, like black metal, like in the 90s, they were setting churches on fire.
Yeah, I do know that.
And so I am down here doing a little research. I might want to dive in to get some of the project going again.
I think, Ian, maybe you're missing the forest for the trees here. People, when they hear that you, and I'd love to hear exactly what happened there. Maybe you just tell the story. So you're on the subway,
I'm on
and
the
you
subway.
see a dead body.
Yes. And I mean, a lot of times, you know, when someone gets AR'd, they go, what were they wearing? You know, like they deserve it. This guy was just sitting there.
Well, I mean, he's
what are
dead.
you supposed to do?
He's dead.
I thought it would be funny I had a friend on the train, and I thought it'd be funny to grab the dead guy's dick and be like, oh, you know. And
So okay. So this was now this is the lamestream media.
yeah.
Well, not when I'm reading this article. There you are in your disguise.
Mhm.
When I'm reading this article, what I don't see is a mention of, like, you know, this was like
No, they get it wrong.
It's
like
a funny
I thought
moment.
Elon said comedy was legal again, and then you go and do some prop comedy, and then I'm the asshole.
Boom, and then they turn on you.
Yeah.
So okay, now I think people are probably I can already feel it in the ether. People are like, ugh, fooled again by the media. So
It's a bit.
you're on the subway, you see a corpse, and
What would you do?
Well, I mean,
You're underground. You can't call 911.
honestly, I don't think I'm as funny in the moment as
You're
you
with
are.
your bros.
I
You're
think I'd
laughing.
freeze
You're
up.
having fun.
I think I'd freeze up because, you know, I think there's so many funny things you can do in that moment.
Mhm.
And
Well, another thing I did, and they say it's defiling, but I thought again, like, you know, when you put someone's arms behind your back and then you put your arms through them,
yeah,
and then you are the arms.
yeah, puppet
Yeah,
play.
I did that, and I thought it'd be funny, like, I'm gonna jerk off and finger my own ass, and then again, it's like I'm
So it
the
wasn't
jerk off.
you weren't the one who fingered you just
No,
puppeteered
it was
the
him.
corpses.
Yes,
See?
like, isn't that funny? If a
Guys,
guy was dead,
yes.
and like, you know, like,
verifiably funny, old school funny. The
I'm a
funny
zombie.
we lost this level
Yeah.
of funny. This used to be the 80s.
yes,
In the 80s, Chevy Chase did that. I
Yes.
think. Didn't he do that too?
It's not like I put a hole in a wall at a girl's gym and then I look through with my buddies and
no.
went on a quest to lose our virginity.
This is old, and I'm sorry this is dated, but there was this a very funny movie called Caddyshack with a
Yes.
comedian most people aren't familiar with anymore, and Jim Belushi, and
Jim
I
Belushi. He was in Caddyshack?
John Belushi,
John Belushi.
Jim
He
Belushi,
was in Caddyshack? Or Animal House?
Animal House. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Animal
yeah.
House. So I'm getting my hilarious movies. What Animal House and Caddyshack both have in common is they were created by National Lampoon, but
Yes.
also what they have in common is in Caddyshack, Bill Murray apparently found a corpse in the forest, and they found Bill Murray like I don't know, he's putting clown makeup on the corpse or
Mhm.
something, which is but John Belushi in Animal House
Mhm.
apparently found two corpses, and he did a whole human centipede thing, and that is where they got the idea from human centipede.
Dude, honestly, like, that Bill Murray is my be all end all of comedic actors,
The
and to
best.
know that I didn't even know that, and I instinctually go
Yeah.
to defile a corpse under the
There you
guise
go.
of humor is like,
It feels good.
it feels good and it feels bad that people just got it wrong with me. Like, people
Well,
think they just hear defiling corpse necrophilia, and it's like, dude. Also, when I
cancel
had the
culture in full effect.
arms behind him, and I was like, oh, I'm jerking off. I put my dick in his ass, and I went docking engaged, like I was controlling, like an alien is like, this is how I
Hilarious.
control a body,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Docking
It's
engaged.
funny.
Docking engaged.
People docking engaged.
Oh my God.
I'm in
Your
control.
friend must have been laughing their
Oh
ass
my
off.
God. Yeah. And I'm waiting for him to fucking come out my defense. But it's like people are so scared of getting canceled. Nobody is willing to go to bat for anyone anymore.
I guess
It's disgusting.
Well, okay, look, I think now, I mean, I knew I've already talked to you about this, and so this is why I invited you on the show. But I guess the last thing to address
Mhm.
is that you took his penis home.
That's funny. Like, now I have a prop at home. Use it as a thumb.
Right.
Hey, what's up? Oh, you got my thumb. No, it's a dead man's penis.
Okay.
Egg on your face.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean,
I mean, and clearly I had to take it with me to Austin because apparently they're searching my apartment, which I've
I
been
think
looking on my cat cam.
there's a manhunt.
My
for
cats
you.
are fine. Yeah. Like I said, I'm chilling down in Austin, doing Moon Tower, blah, blah, blah. Life is life. Just going
Just
along.
trucking, keep on
trucking.
trucking.
I'm not going to let my past define me. And I'm not going to let
It was like
things that
what,
happened in my
how many
past.
days ago was that?
It was not even 10 days ago.
100
People
years.
change.
100 years.
And I'm not going to let that dictate my actions in the future. So it's just life moves on. And so I'm moving on and I'm looking for apartments here. And,
Anybody got an apartment? Perfect
well,
tenant.
I know in the past you have offered to let me crash at your place.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And I was hoping
I
that
was
that
gonna
offer
invite
was still on
dude.
the
I'm
table.
so I totally forgot to tell you this, but the
Do you know how funny it would be if we were at dinner with your family and I was like, this isn't sausage, it's a dead homeless man's penis?
yeah, no, I mean that is
He's loving it.
everyone's loving it. I
It would
wish
make
we
your
were
kids
live streaming.
giggle,
We blow up YouTube with the joy.
giggle, and then I'll just put it back in my
Love it.
pocket where I keep it.
Dude, listen, I had a talk
Uh-huh.
with the bank who gave us the mortgage, and I guess there was a thing in the mortgage. I didn't even know it was there. And I didn't even know that this was a thing you could do. I thought when you bought a house, you could just anyone who wanted to come
Uh-huh.
and stay could stay. But yeah, apparently, for 2 more years, only our family is allowed to stay in the house, and that sucks. Or
That's weird. That's the house. What about where you record and don't
this
you-
is where
don't you
Josh
have, like,
will
a
probably let you
shed?
stay here.
is that cool? And then I could just do sets at Black Rabbit.
There we go. Yeah. Yeah.
Is
that'll
that
work.
cool?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
There you
in this
go.
back room right over here.
Oh, dude.
There you go.
Thank God. Because
Yeah.
I came down here, I didn't have a plan. I
Oh
only have
my
a
God.
bag.
And dude, think how cool that'd be if like that could be a selling point for Black Rabbit. Is there's like a real you could like a sideshow, before the show, like, and now the necrophile. Yeah,
And also,
with the dick.
the Rainy Street Ripper's still running around.
You guys should
It's
meet.
like fresh supply.
You guys should meet.
It's like if you think the penis gag with the homeless guy on the subway is funny, what do you see what I do with a dead corpse of a twink that went out to a gay bar and then he got killed by a man who's killing homosexuals because he's secretly homosexual?
It's so cool.
It'll be funny.
It's so cool. Austin has become such a hotbed for comedy.
Yeah.
It's just
This
to
is the
think,
place
like,
to be.
We had the Rainy Street. Now we got you. It's like, who's next? There's so many great comics that are probably going to
Yeah.
come here. I can't.
And I mean, the mothership's like across the street. I've been going there every day, just asking Rogan if I can go on and tell my story. You know, wag, wag, wag.
Well, you know, I think the problem, a lot of comedy.
I did. He has a lot of security guards that are like big, strong. And when I went, hey, let me in, I tapped the penis on his chest. They didn't like that, but
Well, it's not that they didn't like it. It's that, again, like, because we live in essentially a police state,
yeah.
there are like laws saying that you can't disfigure a corpse.
Yeah, but I'm
take
keeping
its
it on
pe-
ice. It's not like it's like decaying.
Dude, listen, you're preaching the choir here. Like, but I'm just,
I mean, I thought that was a place where it's like no holds barred funny. And I'm like, I could do the penis wag thing there. Cell phones are in a bag.
listen, people like you are pushing back and it's working.
Yeah.
I feel like we're a year, 2 years away
Mhm.
from any comedian being able to carry around a penis in their
Severed.
pocket, a severed penis. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like we're close to what we had.
I mean, this is the same conversation people have with Kaufman.
Oh,
You
I
know.
know. He loved that.
It's like
severed
I'm
penis
doing
gag.
like the Tony Clifton. Like I'm not really a necrophiliac that goes around and fucks dead people under the guise of humor. I'm a guy that's
yeah.
doing high concept art, and it's like I'm suffering for it. But you
Yeah.
know,
That's why I'm
whatever.
having you on. Look,
No,
the-
I appreciate it.
you know
man.
the
People just don't
squirting-
want to have conversations
You
anymore.
know the squirting flour on the label thing?
Mhm,
You know
mhm.
what that used to be before history got
What?
whitewashed? That used to be a baby penis. And, and you'd be like, do you want to smell my baby penis? but
Ow.
oh no. Oh God, that sucks when you do that. Okay. But I like when joking aside, that news story,
Yes.
like I did think of you, not that you did it, but I
What?
did because you're one of my friends in New York.
Yeah.
And so like in Hinduism, they say the era that we're in right now is called the Kali Yuga,
Kali Yuga,
the
yes.
age of disintegration. And I can't think of a more age of a disintegration moment than, and I don't know, maybe as the story comes out, the guy actually killed the corpse, but I'm
Mhm.
guessing the corpse was like
Yeah.
somehow they were able to distinguish that this corpse wasn't murdered by this dude. But so I'm just thinking, like, this episode of the DTFH has been brought to you by True Classic Tees. Now, you might be asking, why aren't you wearing one right now? And I'll tell you why. It's the best reason ever. Because I have a True Classic tee hanging in my closet. And I reached for it today and almost put it on. But then I remembered I'm going to be traveling. And I like to wear True Classic tees when I'm on the road, okay? Is that selfish? Maybe so. But that's how much I love these things. You know, when you're looking through your wardrobe and you got that one magical shirt, the one special shirt, and I don't mean to go down a rabbit hole here, but you can look this up. There's actually a philosophical theory based around the magical quality of certain clothes, that certain clothes produce quantifiable changes in life experience. These are True Classic tees. They're not telling me to say that, so don't be like, hey, I wore one of these things and I didn't realize that everything's perfect and God is love. But That's what they teach me. It's not just a shirt. It's a teacher. It's like wrapping yourself in the Dead Sea Scrolls if they were made of the softest, most comfortable, perfectly form-fitting material known to humanity. We all know this company or that company says something about like how they're good. But I got on the phone with the owner, mentioned how busted up I felt over Asheville getting smashed, and he sent them an insane amount of money. Like, what? What? This is real. People like this exist in the world. He's one of them. They actually are the thing. And listen, to be honest, I could find out that a t-shirt company was run by the second coming. And if their shirts suck, I'm not buying them. I don't really care. Well, yeah, honestly, I can find out this company that cleaned all the waters of the world, or, they're resurrecting dead grandmothers for one last trip to the park with their kids, which would be terrifying, honestly. But you get my point. If the shirts suck, I'm not going to wear it. I don't care. I don't care. The UAPs could start a t-shirt company, and if like they don't have the specific set of conditions that I need for a perfect shirt, and I believe it goes into the quantum field, then I'm not going to wear it. But maybe, just maybe, the UAPs are the ones channeling into a true classic tee. It would not surprise me. Forget overpriced designer nonsense. Skip the cheap throwaways. True Classic delivers premium essentials built for real life. Grab yours at Target or Costco, or head to trueclassic.com/Duncan to get hooked up today. Do my code. I mean, go to Target or Costco. You really want to go to Target? You really going to go to Target? Or go to trueclassic.com/Duncan so I get credit. Thank you, True Classic. Thank you. Did that necrophiliac think to himself in that moment when he saw the corpse? He's like, holy shit, I just started reading The Secret.
This is the stars are aligned.
But you know what I mean? Like, when you
but if you take this news story and then you tie it in with everything else that's going on, and did you watch that Netflix documentary about the kid influencers?
Not yet. I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch it.
It's truly, truly evil.
So tell me about it, because I hate watching, now that I have kids.
Yeah,
watching shit like that's
it's
scary.
A psychotic mom that was basically dolling up her daughter to make the ex-husband jealous. Like, look how successful the daughter is without you. We're succeeding without you. And then it turned into, she basically like media trained the daughter from birth to be good on camera, and then scouted out this girl's friends and family, like cousins, to live in a content house as kids and make content. And then off camera, the kids are crying and it's like, no, do it again. And then at the same time, the majority of the people watching this content are fucking pedophiles. Right. And the mom doesn't care because it gets clicks and likes. It's like, that is what's more evil, fucking a dead corpse or pimping out your children for likes, clicks, and shares, and robbing them of their childhood so that they can be involved in this nefarious era of narcissism and me. Yeah. And then that kid is completely fucked and has a fucked up relationship with reality for the rest of their life.
Right.
But all these things in tandem are the Kali Yuga of like, it's common. It's there.
It's selfishness, right? I mean, what you're looking at is like these extreme mutated versions of hyper selfishness. You know. That being said, not to keep like dwelling on the corpse. Subway necrophile, we don't know the whole story. So that could have been his friend who's like, dude, I'm gonna die on the subway. I'll be there at midnight. Will you please come? Will you please come fuck my dead mouth?
Yeah.
But
that's that Kinnison joke.
Yeah, I know.
They fuck you when you're dead. Yeah.
Is that really again as a joke?
Yeah.
Okay, so the what you're talking about is really fascinating me because the history of children
Mhm.
and new innovations, they always get the short end of the stick, right? Like children working in factories,
Right.
right? Like whenever there's a new thing, the Industrial Revolution happens,
Mhm.
the kids, no one even thought back then.
Well-
No one thought you shouldn't send your kid to work in a fucking factory where the kids would just fall in.
Yeah, but it's like at the time, what else are kids gonna do? Gets them out of trouble?
I don't know. What are they kids?
Working in a factory, making friends?
Yeah,
you
having
know?
pals.
Yeah.
And you see these pictures of these soot-covered kids after a
Ripping
day
cigarettes,
ripping
you know?
cigarettes. And
They've worked harder in their 8 years than I ever have in my entire life.
in this hell realm environment, and you just realize like it's never that great for kids in the sense that it just depends on what. There you go.
Yeah, look at
Look at
that little
this.
guy.
Kids in the
Hey,
mine.
I'm smoking a pipe. I'm 4.
Having a old pipe before I go
Yes.
down in the mines.
Ah.
Nothing like the coal down here.
Yes,
Happy
the
as
coal
can
on
be.
my face is blacker than any body hair I've yet to grow.
There's the pipe boy again with
That
his
is
pickaxe.
so funny. The pickaxe weighs more than him. Those are cool. I want to hang out with those kids if I was also a kid. Now I'm realizing I'm older than a kid, and I wish I didn't say that.
But then, so click on the color picture.
That is now.
But now we like to imagine anything's different. And it's like now we've got these kids digging.
That picture's a little too black and white, if you know what I mean.
Look up child labor and lithium mine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, truly now, it's never been easier to be alive. And at the same time, throughout the world, there's more people enslaved now
pull
than
that one
ever. There's more child labor than ever. People are living in absolute squalor and suffering now more than ever. But in certain parts of the world, it's like, it's easy, breezy, beautiful cover girl.
Well, like click the kids in the river there with like scooping up mud. To the side, Josh, the very far right. Like you see that picture that's up there, France
Josh,
24.
are you high?
No, it's not. It's like it's got to be fresh. You see, that. Just click on any of the pictures. Who cares? People know what I'm talking about. For those of you listening, it's just what you expect. It's kids digging around in some horrific place. Anyway, the point is, the Kali Yuga is not quite what people expect because that's a good picture. What is that?
Good.
Hey, what is that? A
God.
protest? Let's click
Yeah.
on that protest.
It's a line for a water slide.
Yeah, there you go.
Good God.
Here it is better not to be born. Cobalt mining for big tech is driving child labor deaths in the Congo. So now, if you think about the history of slavery,
Mhm.
the idea is you would human traffic these people to do work in the West. Now it works differently. We're not going to call it slavery, even though
I mean, now in the West, nobody wants to work anymore.
yeah, well, that's when the reason why is because the technology that we have that is making life so convenient.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Being
what's
fueled by these poor fucking children.
It's just because it's like it's a different model. You can distance yourself from it a little bit, meaning that you can non-ironically post a sanctimonious Instagram message about whatever your environmental message is to the world or your cultural message is to the world, and ignore the fact that there are bits and pieces in your phone that were dredged out of some hell mine by kids in the Congo. And that's the Kali Yuga. The Kali Yuga is we figured out a way to create a little bubble over here. You don't really see it. It's not like you're going to see CNN, Fox, or anybody being like, and let's cut to our live cam of the lithium mine.
Yeah.
Thank you, children, for giving us
We've
the
got
technology.
a 4-year-old wearing a GoPro on their head.
Yeah.
Show us what's going on.
Uh-oh, it looks like you fell in a crack.
Yeah.
Shit, get the GoPro. But this is the Kali Yuga. And so we're seeing all these horrors that are, I mean, really like.
But have not these horrors been existing since the dawn of time? And isn't the idea of evolution and expansion to get away from them? I mean, isn't that just evolution to evolve to a point where you don't have to? I mean, anxiety is an evolutionary trait that
Yeah.
helped us survive.
Yeah.
And we've gotten away from where we get anxious to let us know that there's a bear near us. And
Yeah.
then now we get anxious if we have like an awkward conversation. It's like,
Yeah.
isn't that
Confrontation.
the goal though, to evolve past pain?
Uh,
But
no.
now we're evolving to where our life is easier and it's based off the pain of others. But isn't that something that you can't control?
Well, I think that so I think in my thinking about this problem, like I'm driving the kid to school today. He's like, "Do you like flamingos?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I just saw some video of penguins.
Hmm.
I'm like, "I like penguins too." But I didn't tell him that the video that I saw was on Neil deGrasse Tyson's channel, and he was pointing out, the reason these penguins are so clumsy is
Hmm.
because they have no natural predators.
Hmm.
There's no natural selection happening on land. They have no natural predators on land. So on land, they'll just waddle up to you. They don't, you know what I mean? Whereas like you see the way squirrels behave,
Aren't penguins predators like seals?
but not on land.
Oh,
So
whoa,
on
whoa, whoa,
in
whoa,
the
whoa, whoa, whoa,
ocean,
whoa, whoa.
look at it. We look at a penguin in the ocean. They're
Right.
fast, sleek, made for the sea.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
they had to get that way. Because if you're not,
Yeah,
you're
and then
gonna
on
get
land,
fucking
it's
eaten. So
I look like a nun.
so that in that narration or commentary he was doing, he's pointing out what we're talking about,
Right.
which is you're if you want clumsy penguins, then make it so that they're completely safe. And you're gonna get some clumsy fucking penguins via natural selection. You're gonna get some clownish, silly birds.
Yeah.
And the moment, any kind of new predator emerged there, like, if some asshole, just dropped off a couple of honey badgers or something, a male and female honey badger, that's it for penguins.
Yeah.
They're gonna rip through those fucking penguins like
So we've got to train penguins to mine for lithium.
bingo.
Yeah.
Now
And we
you
gotta
got
go
it.
to Antarctica and start clubbing penguins
got it.
to train them and give
Because
them
you know how
some.
cool that'd be to look at your phone and be like, a fucking penguin mined
Oh,
this shit
yeah.
for me, and they deserved it because they're slow.
Yeah.
Well-
Clumsy motherfucker.
But my kid said, I didn't even mention that shit. And he's like, but sharks eat penguins. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, and that's sad.
Mm.
And then I fucked up initially because I was like, well, I mean, is it sad for the shark? Like, was shark's probably hungry?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah. And then I thought about it. I'm like, no, you're right. That is sad. What am I doing? I'm trying
Yeah.
to create some Machiavellian, like, child here. Like, no, there was this component of sadness
Mhm.
in the natural order of things, and how to mitigate that and deal with it without, fucking everything up. In other words, like, what are we going to do? Let's imagine if we had police
Mhm.
in Africa, but they were animal police,
Mhm.
and we made it illegal for the lions to eat gazelle.
Mhm.
We found a way to create
To
Ve-
keep the gazelle safe.
to keep the gazelle safe. We discovered a way to easily grow plant-based gazelle meat that
Mhm.
we drive around and throw it to the lions. And anytime a lion's about to get a gazelle, we like have some mechanism, a taser, I don't know, to protect the gazelle. You will create fucked up gazelle and fucked up lion the moment
Well,
you do that.
That's I guess I wanted to ask, like, when do you introduce the concept of sadness to a child? Because you need sadness to grow. Pain is a fertilizer for growth. And it's like, I think what we're seeing is people are living in a safer time now more than ever. And I know people to this day, they've never faced death, like my age. Like, yeah, no one in my life's ever died.
Yeah.
And then they're, 48 years old and their grandmother dies at 98 and they're just grief stricken. Like, I
Yeah.
can't believe this is it. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, I have a warped view of it because my dad died when I was 8. So I
Yeah.
was introduced to like pain early. And it's like, I have a fucked up way of thinking of like, people either have not lived through pain, so they create their own so that they have to then use that as like almost like a stealth empathizer to feel like they are more in touch with things because they've never experienced outside pain, so they create their own. Or it's these safe people living in a bubble that when they face pain, they don't know how to handle it. So
Yeah.
like, how do you make your child battle hardened for life?
This episode of the DTFH is brought to you by Storyworth. Some of you know that I recorded a couple of podcasts with my mom before she passed on, and I am so glad I did that. Uh, I don't know if y'all get into Superman at all, but you know how Superman has that ice cave he goes into and he can like talk to his parents in there, holograms of his parents and all this. They could tell him stuff. And listen, I don't mean to get all maudlin or whatever, but listen, everybody's got an expiration date, baby. They did not tell me to say that, by the way. That is not the Storyworth motto. But I'm when I go back and listen to those podcasts with my mom, it's like she's giving me like messages now that I needed to hear. There's all kinds of stuff. It's almost like she was aware that at that time in my life, I was somewhat of an idiot. Not that I'm not now, but that probably later on down the line after I had kids, there might be stuff I wanted to hear. And so I feel very lucky that I did that. Storyworth has figured out the most incredible way of getting all of those important messages and stories and things that at some point you're going to wish you asked together. Each week, Storyworth emails your loved one a memory provoking question that you get to help pick. Questions like, did you ever get in trouble in school? Or how did you decide how many children to have? All your loved one needs to do is respond to that email with a story. Long or short, it doesn't matter. They can either write a story or record it over the phone for Storyworth to transcribe. You'll be emailed a copy of your loved one's response as they're submitted over the course of the year. You'll get to enjoy their retelling of the stories you already know and be surprised by stories you never heard before. After that year of fun, Storyworth compiles your loved one's stories and photos into a beautiful keepsake hardcover book that you'll be able to share and revisit for generations to come. Now, again, they're not telling me to do this, to say this. So I'm sorry, Storyworth. I don't mean to go too far off script here. I don't think Storyworth has stumbled upon what they're doing completely. Because with my Storyworth book, let me tell you what I'm going to do. I could theoretically use that to train an AI based on the loved one. Listen, maybe you don't want to digitally resurrect a loved one, but this is going to be a repository of data that theoretically you could use to train an AI to look, they didn't tell me to say it. I'm sorry, Storyworth. Don't do that. Just enjoy the book. It's incredible. This stuff might not seem important to you right now. You might be in the phase of your life. You're busy, you're grinding, you're out there. You're not so sentimental. You're reading grind culture books and you don't have time to think about your heart. But at some point, I'm telling you, having this stuff will mean the world to you. And if you have kids, it'll mean the world to your kids. And most importantly, if you have the all too common relationship with your folks where face-to-face communication seems to be getting signal jammed by years of whatever crazy shit you did as a teenager and they haven't quite gotten over that. This is a way to bridge that gap. Why'd you steal their car, man? Family loves Storyworth. That's why it has more than 40,000 five-star reviews on Trupilot with millions of stories preserved since they were founded over 10 years ago. Give all the moms in your life a unique, heartfelt gift you'll all cherish for years. Storyworth. Right now, save $10 on your first purchase when you go to storyworth.com/Duncan. That's storyworth.com/Duncan to save $10 on your first purchase. We love our moms.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are softer now more than ever. And they are these gazelles that have been manipulated to where the lion doesn't come after them. And it's like, you need the lions to make the gazelle tougher. You need pain and suffering. You need to be on your own. You need to be walking around and face the world so that it'll harden you for the realities of life later. And I feel like you either have one way of looking at it. Those things make you harder and make you more empathetic and understanding and give you better perspective, or it angers you and makes you have a chip on your shoulder towards the world.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer. I only know what happened to me. And I had that anger for a while and I kind of evolved past it, but it took a while. But is that not life? The struggle and the battling your way through to get to the other side?
Well,
I also have a myopic view of it. I can only see things through my eyes.
well,
and
once
I
you
try to
get in the
relate
Dead
through-
Dad Club, you live in a different world. Like once you, and it is a designer, like there's a designer reality that people live in. And the designer reality is based on whatever the algorithm is serving you. So, and whatever your social media platform is and whatever algorithm they're using, it produces a designer style reality for you where you, via the algorithm, have filtered out some infinite amount of content and zoomed in on some other bit of content. And then if you look at the ecosystem of the modern human, and by ecosystem, I mean like that, the habitat. And I don't just mean physical habitat. I think now we can argue the digital space is a physical habitat. So you see, we roam in certain meadows, I guess you could say. And so what I've noticed across the board is that in general, most of the habitat that we're in does not address mortality in the way you would expect a mortal species to address it. So we know there's death. We hear about death on the news. We make love to corpses on the subway from time to time.
Yeah.
But we don't seem, until you actually encounter it firsthand, it's very easy to live in a bubble where you don't really think you're immortal. But via not really addressing the fact that something supersedes all the cultural machinations that you're obsessed with. And that is that in some uncertain moment, someone you love or you are going to drop dead. And until you really address that as much as you can bear, then you will be a wobbly penguin via just that. And I don't think humans need people chasing them in the streets or anything to become like fully human. But we already have the most incredible predator in the universe, death. It's a modular predator. It might come as an aneurysm, a heart attack. You might get beaten to death, stabbed to death, set on fire. The sun might supernova, nuclear, but the list goes on and on and on. But via ignoring that, you think that you are being positive or that you it's a maudlin thing to stare that in the eye, when in reality, that thing is the evolutionary force that you must address if you really want to live. And that's why Neem Karoli Baba would say, love everyone, serve everyone, remember God. But some people think that he actually meant love everyone, serve everyone, remember you're going to die. And that we carry death on our shoulder, meaning that you must live in the consciousness of how precious human life is and how at any second it could go away.
Yeah. And Dave Matthews said, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die.
Dude, and I would, I mean, I can't show it. I would show you my new tattoo, but again, the media mobs, I can't show my ball because I have on my remaining testicle, I have that tattooed.
I love that.
Very small tattoo.
I would like to read it like Braille.
Dude, it is that's a great idea. Holy shit, I wonder if I could get some kind of Braille implant on my remaining testicle that says
eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. And Dave Matthews Band also said, don't drink the water. And it's like, well, you can't pick and choose. Am I going to drink the water and die or
He meant piss. He meant
ah
eat, drink if you eat
ah?
shit, drink
Well, I'm
piss.
out on that. Too bad. I already went against that today.
Yeah, you got it.
Well, I you know, I live in this pocket of like it's I struggle with it because again, like you're talking about the natural predator of death, and I feel like and I'm just looking through the guise of like annoying whites. I look at like annoying whites and they don't have a lot of death facing them head on.
You think
So
it's
they
just the whites?
well, I feel like it's this twofold thing where a lot of whites look at conflict throughout the world and they're like, this is happening in death, but because they haven't had death face them face to face, nose to nose, they look at these other deaths as, this horrific thing and it's horrible. And it is, but at the same time, if you've dealt with like real death and real like face to face trauma, you're like, hey, shit happens. Like, if anything, you learn that it's out of your control, empathize, but also like there's not really nothing like you can do but change the environment around you. And then I look to like, inner city blacks, and it's just so fucking heartbreaking that because they are faced with so many horrific traumas and deaths from an early age, and just like the systems have been around them, they end up becoming like dead-eyed nihilists to where it's like, yeah, nothing matters. And they realize in the education
Right.
system, they're just pawns. So it's like, why am I going to do anything but just not give a fuck? And then
Yeah.
you're seeing kids younger and younger be disaffected and then act out in a way that, like, I mean, dude, all the fucking murders and shootings in New York are like young kids.
Yeah.
And also, they're smart and they know that once they turn 18, all the charges drop because everything gets kicked up to child court.
Right.
And it just pisses me off that people will be in an uproar about, X, Y, and Z going on in another country. It's like, I guess because maybe I taught and I see like the faces of the kids I taught on all these kids that are being affected by gang violence in every city. And it's like, nobody's screaming out for these poor fucking kids. And I think a lot of it is like, well, I'm not allowed to speak on that because I'm not that race and I might get in trouble. But it's like, that's so fucking heartbreaking. But everybody cares about what happens to like brown kids in another country. But when it happens to black kids in ours, they're like, well, I'm not going to touch that.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is a horrific thing that's going on right now.
Yeah.
And it seems like people get in an uproar every once in a while. But then when like legitimate tragedy is happening at their back door, they're like, well, there's nothing really I can do.
Well, there's people just don't have community anymore. And
Yeah.
and if you've ever been to like Burning Man, you realize the horror of war in the reverse, because you see like why people get really like addicted to war, and why when people come back from a war, they're like, what the fuck? This isn't even life.
Mhm.
Because one thing that's happening when you're at war is community. This intense life or death connections happening with the people around you. You're experiencing the amazing thing that can happen where, and you see it in sports too. You see like when you're watching like an incredible basketball team, and
Mhm.
you realize, oh, that's not one person, that's a group mind. You're
Yeah.
looking at a super organism made up of a bunch of different people. They're practically
That's
telepathic.
synced up and like
It's
working
insane.
together. Yeah.
And that must feel incredible too. That feeling of being part of that must be amazing. And so humans we do that. That's one of the things we do when we're in groups is we congeal into a group mind.
Mhm.
And so that in that experience, when it's positive, is transcendent. It's you realize like, oh my God, there's not much of a separation between me and you. And so when you're looking at like the violent forms that takes, I think really what you're seeing is like, what else is being offered here? Like, people are going to be magnetized towards something real,
Mhm.
and it must feel real to be in a gang. It must
Mhm.
feel real, and suddenly you get the experience of living in something that feels more like reality than the synthetic, padded, nerfed kind of corpo reality that is being sold to people
Mhm.
as reality. And so there, I get it. I
Well,
get what
I think a
happens.
lot of community comes from this like desire for a pat on the back or just like a parent's love, in the sense of like, a lot of gangs or whatever, it's like you're coming from a single family home. There's a group of guys that are like, hey, do this and I'll be proud of you. And it's like, okay. Like, I think everybody is just, maybe again, it's through my lens, but I think everybody throughout their life is just searching for some form of community and reinforcement of being loved. And instead of feeling like the words of I love you comes from different forms of action. Like, being involved in an online community, you get that affirmation through like a like or a share, like, and a lot of times it's negative, but it's still that reinforcement of, if you're like all shitting on something, that is a net positive because you're all working together to
Yeah.
shit on this one thing, even though
Right.
the thing you're doing is negative. And
Yeah.
it's just reinforcement of like, you're liked, you're welcome.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of finding your community, but finding a positive community. And that's so much harder than finding the base negative and then bonding over that. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. And where I get woo woo with this line of thinking
Mhm.
is that, fine, you found a community, you found a people who like, I don't know, collect stamps or
Mhm.
whatever, crochet or whatever the fuck it is. And that's fine. But eh, I feel like that going back to what we were talking about earlier, which is if you want to look at the real they live reality that we're in. You remember they live? You
Yeah.
put the glasses on, you could see what they like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
eat, consume,
Consume.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So y- the you catch a glimpse of that, anyone will. And but you don't want to believe that could be true. You don't want to believe that you're just a
Manipulated
herd animal.
cog. Yeah.
Yeah. So you seek the solace of something that would, instead of deny that is happening, make that seem okay to deal with the cognitive
Mhm.
dissonance. And so to get back to being a happy consumer versus a, a paranoid consumer, someone who's
Mhm.
like, "Ah, something doesn't seem quite right here." And so the communities like that will form. But I think that step number one is stop ignoring the reality of things, even though you don't have to tell anyone you're thinking these things, by the way. In fact, maybe it's better not to.
Mhm.
But if you've caught that glimpse, that's good. Don't be afraid. But then step two would be a simple question. Is this all there is?
Mm.
Is there just these mortal, easily manipulated beings on the planet that are being puppeteered
Mhm.
by increasingly effective technological propaganda to step in line and harmonize in a way that's safe for the power structures that exist? Is that all there is? Is that all there is? Is it? And then that's where you go into nihilism, and actually nihilism serves the that force more than anything, because if really that's all there is, if there's
And there's
nothing
no
after
point,
this, nothing
right?
before it,
Yeah.
then fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Get what you can while
Mhm.
you're here. Profit, fucking
Yeah.
enjoy, and because
You
really you're
can't
just
take it with you.
a mode of sentient meat
Yeah.
floating in the void of space. Blah 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 blah. In this mode of thinking, well, who does it serve? It serves oil companies,
Mhm.
because it's like, yeah, fuck the environment. Who cares about anything? What the
Yeah,
fuck? None
yeah.
of this matters anyway. What the fuck?
Well, wasn't that like the 80s? They had no forward thinking. It was just like now, now, now.
Greed
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we're suffering all the consequences.
So I think if you can successfully argue that we live in a godless void, and I'm not saying you need a theistic point of view to have any kind of humanist morality, but it doesn't hurt. But if you can successfully argue that, then I think the next question becomes, well, then what is the idea here? What's the point of this thing, right?
Mm.
And so somewhere along the line, some version of hedonism takes precedent over service, over helping, and or most importantly, you it's like having this incredible Wi-Fi connection in your brain, which is the connection to the transcendent metaphysical super intelligence that I think all of this stuff exploded from, and not using it. So if you're not picking up the phone, you the there won't be a next step for you other than like trying to scratch an itch in the wrong place. And that is buying shit, getting those likes, fucking as much as you possibly can, all the things we all try to do.
Uh-oh.
It's great. I say go for it. I tried, and it
Yeah.
does distract you for sure. And it'll create a lot of drama
Yeah.
to distract you even more. And that's really good if you don't want to confront the reality of your inevitable annihilation. What better than eating someone's ass for a few hours on MDMA and then getting an argument with them after about how you don't listen? That's man.
Yeah.
So to me, I think step one is a deep, honest, non-public internal interrogation, asking yourself, is there anything other than me? Is there a higher
Mhm.
intelligence? And then reach out to that. And then via that, something else will start happening that you can't predict. And then that leads you into certain situations and communities that have a focus not on the temporary, fleeting, transient, worldly phenomena and on something else. And there's so many different forms of that out there.
Yeah.
And that I think is where you start really um, experiencing the kind of liberation you are seeking in all the other forms.
Well, what you just mentioned and spoke about, that's like the main tenet of, and I'm just going to say it because I think it's important to make people aware that there's a place to go that's better. But that is like the main tenet of Alcoholics Anonymous and programs of recovery.
Yeah.
That is exactly the backbone of all of that, is to get out of self, privately look with a clean lens at all of the garbage and everything that's going on, cleanse yourself of it with the higher purpose of helping someone else do
Got
the
it.
same. And in that, that's like the main goal of AA is to maintain a conscious contact with a higher power. And that's just that turns people off, and people go, God, no, I can't. But it's almost like that higher power is that higher form of consciousness of living every moment in the now and taking in and figuring out, how can I take this moment to serve someone else? And that's so hard to do because of all these distractions. And sometimes you grab it and you hold on to it and it feels so good, but then it's so fleeting, but you almost have to let it flow through you. And then, how can I do
Yeah.
this again? And that's like, I never feel better than when I'm helping someone else. And when I am not talking about me and not obsessing about me and not obsessing about that, but when I'm in this moment and I almost like, dude, when I was teaching and I was explaining something and like it clicked with a student, I would get this chill from the
Yeah.
tip of my toes to
the
the top
best.
of my head. And I got that feeling when I would take my first sip of alcohol. And I got that
Yeah.
feeling when I would, when you like rip a new tag on a joke on stage,
Yeah.
or like something comes out the right way.
Sure.
And I would get that same feeling. And I get that same feeling when I help someone else and we make that connection. And I think the goal is to always maintain that connection. But in order to do that, you have to rip out all this sludge and get rid of those distractions. But what you just said is like so important and the goal, but it's so hard because you have all these outside influences. But if you can like
Yeah.
block them off and then maintain that conscious contact with a higher being, higher purpose, higher feeling, I think that is like, I never feel better than when that's going on. And I
Oh, it's the
always feel
best.
better when I leave a meeting than when I walked into it. And I
Absolutely.
want with my stand up for people to leave feeling better than when they came to the show. And I feel like those are things when I feel it and I grab onto it, I feel infinite. And then it slips through my hands and I concentrate on the fact that it went away, but it's like it'll always come back.
Yeah.
It'll always come back. But I for me, I feel like that's such a better service of time to be constantly trying to bring it back to the now, and not now me, but now you. How
Yes.
can I serve this? How can I serve that? Like being around you is such a joy because you immediately bring it to the other person with like you can feel this energy. And this is such a little thing, but I'll never forget one of the first times we were texting, you used a bunch of exclamation points to show like excitement.
Yeah.
And I was like, this feels good. I can understand that they're excited and I believe that they're excited.
Yeah.
And so now I try to do that. And it's not what you can take away, but what you can bring.
Yeah.
And I try to bring a good energy, but then on the other hand, when I'm alone, I like just sulk, and I need to work on having that when I'm alone, because when I'm alone is when I'm in a bad way.
Yeah.
But when I'm around others, I feel like so good. And I've looked to you for how to do that because I
Thanks.
see the energy you bring to other people.
Well, thank you, man.
And also your constant search for consciousness and contact with something out there rather than self. You know what I
I
mean?
I'm going to tell you a quick story. It's a dream I had. Uh, so I was walking on the beach with Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
and this episode of the DTFH is brought to you by BetterHelp. You know what? Right now, everyone's flipping their shit over the stock market. And there's something cool about being able to look at a bunch of numbers and figure out if you're doing okay. If only we had that for our minds. It really is interesting, though, isn't it? That people are completely obsessed with finances, stocks. Look, I get it. And there's a quantifiable metric there to show you how you're doing. And based on that, you can invest and invest and invest in the stock market. And sometimes you lose money, sometimes you make money. But when it comes to the old slushy, brownish gray thing in your cranium, and the potentially quantum tubules are giving you a sense of sentience, and all your memories and experiences that have congealed together and what you call yourself, people seem less passionate about investing in that. People feel like therapy is too expensive. They're totally willing to drop $1,000 on Dogecoin, on Ethereum, but they feel weirded out about doing that. But good news, with BetterHelp Online Therapy, you can save an average of up to 50% per session. With BetterHelp, you pay a flat fee for weekly sessions, saving you big on cost and on time. Therapy should feel accessible, not like a luxury. With online therapy, you get quality care at a price that makes sense and can help you with anything from anxiety to everyday stress. And I know you've heard me say this again and again in BetterHelp commercials. Therapy changed my life for the better. I guess that's like a fashionable thing some people are saying now, but truly, it's so worth it. And yeah, I don't know where I'd be if I hadn't spent those months. It's hard, but it was so worth it, and definitely worth the dough. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. It's convenient too. You can join a session with a click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. Plus, switch therapists at any time. Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/Duncan to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Duncan. Thank you, BetterHelp. Basically, like, I was hurting really bad, and I call the story Footprints. I was hurting really bad, and and I was looking back at the footprints from when I was hurting really bad, and I only saw one set of footprints. Where was Jesus's footprints, right? And so then ran into Jesus up the beach, and I'm like, hey, when I was feeling really bad, I noticed that you seem to have split because I only saw one set of footprints, and Jesus said to me, actually, those were my footprints because I was carrying you. And I said, well, honestly, though, if we go back and do a forensic analysis of the two sets of footprints, you'll see I'm a 10.5. And the other set of footprints, which is yours, are a 12.
Thank
and
God
and
you just turned it to funny
and
after I went off on this fucking
what's fun?
stupid diatribe.
No, I love your. No, I'm gonna get back to it. No. Now, listen. This is important. Ian, this is important.
Sorry,
So,
my pants are hiked up.
I said to Jesus.
Yes.
Now
What'd
look.
you say to Jesus?
Well, I said, let's take a look at these footprints.
Uh-huh.
And I had some of my friends come out from the movie industry. We did molds.
Uh-huh.
And I was able to prove verifiably that,
Yes.
in fact, those were my feet.
This is quite a dream.
Those were my feet,
Yeah.
not Jesus's feet. I was walking alone, and it appeared. I'm like, so you were gaslighting me?
Mhm.
And he's like, I'm God.
Yeah.
I split you into two people, and you carried yourself. And I woke up weeping,
Ah,
and from that dream, I learned something.
yes.
Sometimes Jesus has the same size shoes as me. And but Ian,
And he wears Nike Monarchs. Air Monarchs.
yes, I do. Thank you for saying that, and it means the world to me. And my feeling these days is that that people, what's everyone looks at the world. There's so many people who are so sad right now, and they're so
Justifiably so.
yes, but I understand why, and it's not just the set of phenomena. It's the nihilism. It's that it's that
Could you call it narcissistic nihilism?
I think nihilism and narcissism
Yeah.
go like peanut butter and jelly. It's like, again, if like we're
delicious.
gonna
Oh.
live in an empty, and it is delicious,
Mhm.
but if we're gonna live in an empty, if we're gonna live in a void of consumerism, and you are fully certain of this, then what else do you have but yourself?
Mm.
And why wouldn't you worship yourself? It's the only thing you're making contact with in this infinite void. And so of course, all the things that we look at and feel bad about in other people, when you really sort of trace that, we follow it upstream, you realize, well, everyone is being just bombarded with data that has an agenda, and the agenda is inevitably based on some state model or some corpo model that's trying to get you to act in a certain way to make money.
Mhm.
And this is it's like, look at the stock market. Oh my God. Do you know who Abby Hoffman is? Abby, I think will you look up Abby Hoffman, activist? This is one of the funniest.
Oh, I thought this was the girl from Love on the Spectrum.
Dude, I've got to watch it.
Bro,
Is it good?
it is so heartwarming and wonderful. And I
what I
want
hear.
the love that they experience with each other. It's such an innocent, joyful, whoa, what's this?
That's Abby Hoffman. He is this social activist. And so one of the most amazing things I've ever heard of anyone doing is a form of activism. He went to the New York Stock Exchange
Uh-huh.
and he dumped bags of money onto the traders. So all of a sudden in the New York Stock Exchange, money's falling down. The traders stopped trading to grab the money falling out of the air. And he literally, for a few minutes, shuts down the New York Stock Exchange
Oh, wow.
by dumping money on it. And so that level of culture jamming to me is so brilliant, because it's pointing out that this is idolatry, and nobody wants to talk about this, it seems like, because we want to believe we don't live in an age where people worship idols. But I can't think of a more incredible modern deity than the New York Stock Exchange. It's a temple. In the morning at temples, what do? Ding and ding and ding. They ring a bell. At night, they ding and ding and ding.
They have the golden bull. Wasn't that in the Bible?
Yes.
Like,
It's a temple.
Yeah.
It's a temple. And within the temple, there's a God. And the God, if the God turns green, everyone's happy.
Mm,
If the god turns red,
mm,
people will literally kill themselves
yeah.
for the god. They'll jump out, just like people used to throw
Yeah,
themselves
Aztec
under
temples.
the
Yeah.
wheels of fucking massive carts carrying deities, just like the Aztecs did. Everyone loves to think we're so modern. When the deity turns red,
Yeah. You are
people
dead.
try to fly, baby. They
Yeah.
jump and they shoot and they poison themselves because the deity is red.
Did his deity turn red because he killed himself?
Well, did he?
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know, but
Did he?
but
Bad guy.
come on, don't I love him so much, dear friend of mine. But this is like so
Interesting.
So this is a roundabout way of saying, like, if you don't like the word idolatry because it sounds antiquated, think in terms of fast food. If you're eating shitty food, you're gonna get sick
Yes.
over time. If you're eating like 7-Eleven hot dogs for 6 months straight, I can't even imagine.
I would if I was in Norway. They have the best 7-Eleven hot dogs in Norway. Bergen, Norway.
true?
Shout out. Yes.
How is
I
that
thought it
possible?
was a joke. When
What?
when I toured Europe, everyone was like, you have to eat the 7-Eleven hot dog.
Can you pull
in
up
Norway.
7-Eleven hot dog Norway?
It is. It's what they're known for. It's
you
crazy.
are that is not. I
thought it was a
sorry.
prank. I thought it was like, go to the 7-Eleven in Norway, ask for a hot dog, you do it, and then the
Dude, this
sprinklers
is like
come
someone saying there's faster than light travel.
out. There
it's
is.
not possible.
Let's go to Norway now.
Well.
Yep.
So I'm curious, based on the size of the hot dog, the man's penis, bigger or smaller, the one that you defiled?
Oh, why don't I show you?
No.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Okay, in Norway, 7-Eleven is a common place to buy hot dogs, often special offers. AI had to write the poor AI. It is, if it's sentient, imagine being sentient and you have to like do it as
Right. Type in "Are 7-Eleven hot dogs good in Norway?"
I don't buy it. There's only one way to find out, too. You can't like have one of those shipped. Yes! 7-Eleven hot dogs in Norway are generally considered good and popular. How? Dude,
I don't know.
When
I don't know.
You know when you walk into a 7-Eleven, and I don't blame anybody working at a 7-Eleven for not keeping up with the hot dogs, but you walk in there and one's been rolling too long.
Oh yeah.
And there's that smell of burning hot dog rolling on that fucking
It ain't
thing.
good.
It ain't good. It ain't good. But that to me is the, upstream problem right now is that people have been eating 7-Eleven hot dogs, which is whatever, the is being slopped out.
Oh yeah.
And in that story, a new kind of religion emerges where the self becomes the nexus point of all importance, which obviously this is a catastrophic philosophy if we live in a world with other people, but it's exactly what cancer cells think. It's like, it's all about me, baby. I got an idea. Hey, I'm gonna innovate a new way to do this liver thing. Hey, check it out. And then next thing you know, you got tumors because some fucking cancer cell wanted
it
to
all
be
about them. Yeah.
Yes. And so in the small and in the big, it's a fucked up mode of being
We're basically a cancer.
Well, it's a way to become a cancerous
Right,
thing, and in the same way that if you have managed to cut yourself off completely from the totality of all things of which you're a part, if you don't recognize you're part of a universal superorganism, then the cancer cell also has if the cancer cell could think, it's not thinking like, I think this is gonna fuck up this body that I'm part of.
No, it's like, hey, check out this reel I just put up.
Yeah,
Hey, look at this content.
Yeah, yeah. That's it.
Cancer turns your body into a content house for tumors. That's what it does.
Cancer would most definitely take selfies if it could. You wouldn't need to get an MRI. You just go to its TikTok and it's like, look at this new one I made. It's beautiful.
Cancer's doing TikTok dances while your body's rotting.
Yeah. That's cool. And that thing I've always loved about AA and the 12-step program is that it's like an emergent spiritual lineage born from what in the old days I think you would call demonic possession, but it's an antidote to the possession.
Well, it's like this spiritual experience. And that's what you talked about. The goal is to have this like experience. And that's the goal, to have this like spiritual experience that then you're constantly searching for by doing the thing that got you there, which is to go through this house cleaning and then this helping of other people clean their houses. But also at the same time, it's like people use psychedelics to experience the same thing. And so it's like, I struggle with whatever way you get there is good, or like, no, you have to do it this way,
Mm.
like, um, but I think the goal is to have that experience to then understand that your purpose is not you, it's for others,
What
I
do you mean you
guess.
struggle with it?
Well, I struggle with like, you know, it, like when people are, they're like, "Oh, I'm sober," but they like smoke weed, or they're like, "Oh, I'm sober, but I do psychedelics to like
Mm.
get me, XYZ." And I'm like, "No, you should be sober and go through this through a spiritual experience, through the work. You're taking a shortcut." But then if you look at the history of AA, Bill Wilson, did acid to have this experience, and then he based this work off of searching for that spiritual experience he got through acid.
Yeah.
So it's like, who the fuck am I? I have my way and I fail at it a lot, and I'm constantly trying to do it and I'm constantly falling short. And then maybe it's a part of jealousy where I'm like, oh, fuck, I wish I could just do acid and get it. But I'm too worried that if I were to step out and do a psychedelic, that I'd go off on a fucking bad way.
Yeah.
And so maybe I always look at like, what am I disliking and why? And it always goes back to me. I'm disliking something that you're doing because I see it in me, and I'm doing like kind of blaming something else rather than looking at me and going, "Oh, I need to fix the thing that I don't like in you." And instead I'm just focusing on what I don't like. Does
Well,
that make sense?
yeah, oh, absolutely. I think,
Like everything I hate, I think I see in myself, and it's easier just to point the blame than to
you
look at
know,
myself and go,
my-
"Fuck, I exhibit that
I've
trait.
had
God
sober
damn it."
friends. I've had sober friends in the program, knowing my love for psychedelics, who have, reached out to me almost like they want me to give them permission to take a psychedelic.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, if you feel like there's like a 1% chance that this gets you back to the you that I knew when you were dying,
Mhm.
I don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah.
Like that, it's a sort of risk to reward thing.
Totally.
You're sober now. You somehow climbed out of a pit. And when anyone who's had a friend gets sucked into that pit,
Yeah.
it's the most. It's definitely on par with watching someone die of cancer or something.
Yeah.
It's maybe more annoying.
Yeah, but
because-
also with cancer, you can go, "Hey, I'll go with you to chemo to address this. Hey,
yeah,
let's go to the doctor. Hey, you recognize your body's falling apart. You know that you're going to go get treatment." But with alcoholism and addiction, you're like, "Hey, I see this thing that is hurting and I know a way for you to get help." And they're like, "No, get the fuck away from
Well,
me.
right.
I'm not going to do this."
That's the
It's like,
demon.
you can take a horse of water, but you can't force it to stop shooting heroin.
Yeah, I tried.
Yeah.
I've tried.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Dude, what's so awful when you have your horses get on heroin, dude? It's
terrible.
a horrible ride.
Yeah.
They fall asleep on
I
the
know.
trail.
They nod out.
But someone dying from most other diseases, you don't have to call them and be like, "Did you steal my car?"
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sure you stole my car.
Yeah.
But so, I always say, dude, talk to your sponsor about this
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
man. This is not like I'm
Or
not,
just like your sober network.
and that's
'cause
a very
sometimes I'll
addicty
kick-
thing.
I'll kick ideas around them, like my friends that are sober, and they're like, "Are you stupid?" Like, no, don't do that. Like the last thing was like, "I think I'm gonna. I haven't taken my meds in a little bit, and I think I'm gonna stop. It's not good. I like the way I'm feeling." And like, dude, take a step back, go back on your meds. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that and generally, like one of the qualities of addiction behavior is you want to blame someone else, and
So,
so
but also, it's you want to be in the director's chair. You want
Mm,
everything to be you. I'm choosing. I'm doing this. I'm
yeah.
doing that. You
Mm.
know, one of the best things I ever heard in a meeting, and I cackled, and everyone looked at me like I was crazy. Some guy goes, "If I'm not working on myself, you know what my favorite song is? Me, 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 me." And I fucking,
Oh, yeah. God, it's the worst. It's the worst.
woo!
Me. Well, and this is the
But
this
I sorry to cut you off, but
I don't
dude, during the pandemic, things got really fucking bad for me, and I looked into mushroom therapy, and the place I found was like, so you get the mushrooms, you do them, and then we talk about your experience. And I was
fuck
like, hell
off.
no! I thought I was going to be in a room on mushrooms with a therapist, like talking me through this. You're leaving me left to my own devices. I get to go get a bag. I get to do
That's
it,
the most
and then I tell you
ingenious
about it.
business model I've ever heard in my
I know,
life.
I know. And they're like, here's a number you can call to get the mushrooms.
Go
I'm
get
like,
cam.
oh
Yeah.
my
Oh my
God.
God.
Yeah.
But all that being said, I think because I have diabetes and I had to get on Ozempic for the actual reason, and seeing how whatever the fuck this is doing didn't just make it so my blood sugar got back to normal, but that also uh, the addictive eating patterns I had just went away. Like,
Mm.
it's Lent. My family's off sugar, which is really hilarious for a diabetic because they're like, just a couple more days and we
Yeah,
can
yeah,
have
yeah.
some cake. And I'm like, oh, great. Wow. Good job. Did you make it a month? I'll die if I eat that shit.
Yeah.
But
That's how I am when people do sober October. I'm like, oh,
exactly.
Is it
It's
tough?
exactly.
Yeah.
But the, that I make that joke, but the reality is like I don't care as much anymore. Like I can look at Oreos, Skittles, cake, and not really have the like when there's cookies at the house, like there would be some part of my mind that it knew exactly where they were in the pantry.
Mm-hmm.
And I would look at
Oh,
the
yeah.
cookies and I'm like, oh, you're gonna make it like maybe a day.
Oh, yeah.
And so to see how uh a lot of the guilt and shame and shit that people who overeat that I was feeling seems to be mitigated by something by a medicine.
Mm-hmm.
That somehow this fucking thing is actually just reminds me of when I was a kid. I see it with my kids. You know what they'll do? They'll just stop eating.
Mm.
They'll leave, they'll eat until they're full. And they're like, I don't want to eat anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, you should eat some more because you're going to be hungry. No, I'm not hungry. And that's how people are supposed to be. But that goes away.
Right.
And you eat the signals go away to tell you you're full. And then, so and this is the new conversation around Ozempic and all that whole class of drugs is that this is a neurological issue
Mm-hmm.
that we've been like, you fat fucking piece of shit. Why do you eat all that fucking cake, you stupid? And it's like, no, you don't understand. Their brain is telling them they're hungry.
Well, especially because everything they put in the food is definitely manipulating that as well. I mean, we all have millions of microplastics in our balls now. It's like when I die, it'd be better to recycle me than to put me in the ground.
Dude, isn't that wild?
You know?
And the brain.
Yeah.
It's showing up in the brain.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
We're being poisoned at every single turn in our lives, whether it's mentally, spiritually,
Yes.
physically, everything is poisoning us. And everything we put in our body is not just content of food, it's content of
got it.
ideas and content of
That's it.
content. And it's like, dude, you got to filter out that fucking poison.
As above, so below. It's like you see physical manifestations of cultural trends, and I can't think of a better embodiment of the disintegration of community and culture than plastic showing up in our brains, our balls, our everywhere. Right? It's that is the physical manifestation of a.
Oh, I got to get some microplastics. Hold on.
Oh yeah, me too. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so that leaves us with what I think is the number one job right now. It is first do the analysis. Don't listen to us idiots yapping about this. Do the analysis yourself. watch they live, you know, do the analysis,
Invest in sunglasses.
invest in fucking sunglasses, do the analysis, and then if you've already done the analysis and you're feeling nihilistic from the analysis, which is the unfortunate,
Walk
That's
around
the-
with a shotgun and shoot people you think are aliens.
I'm working up to that, dude.
Sorry.
Well, no, well, the subway fucking necrophile. You know, I think that's your AA training because you just got to the point. I meander, and you're like, dude, just get to the fucking point. You know what we have to do. There's a war. There's aliens. They look like humans.
Uh-huh.
Joking.
Yeah. Like a dead man's penis in my pocket. It's
There
a
is a
joke.
cock in his pocket. It's just not dead.
I got a hole. Dude, there was a kid in like 4th grade who would cut a hole in his pocket and his girlfriend would come up and jerk his dick off at the water fountain.
Wow.
I thought that was so cool.
Wow.
And you know what happened? The kid's dead now.
From what? Fluoride in the water.
Put him on a bad path.
Send him down a bad path.
Yeah.
That's what he thought life was going to be like.
If you're getting jerked off in 4th grade, it's like what else is there? You've already reached peak
You're never going to be able
feeling.
to.
Yeah.
You're never
You're
going to be able
gonna
to
search
go
that
to a
high.
water fountain without getting an erection.
Yeah.
He's got the weirdest fetish of all
He's
fucking
just going
time.
up to the airport to get that water in the bottle, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm gonna bust."
Why do you have a water fountain in your bedroom? I just get thirsty at night.
Why do you carry around a camel backpack and you're going to bars? This is weird.
No, I'm not going to tattoo a water fountain on my feet. Why do you want me to do that? Ian, you're the best, man.
You're
We
the
should wrap it up.
best.
Moon Tower, you got shows coming up.
Oh
no
man,
doubt.
yeah, I'm everywhere, man. I'm on the road till
You're working your ass off, dude. You
Yeah.
got so many fucking dates.
Yeah,
Let's
it's
spit some of
awesome.
them out.
man. I am in Philly May 16th and 17th. I am in Rochester May 8th and 10th. The 22nd, I am in Charleston, South Carolina. Then I'm in Atlanta the 23rd and 24th. I'm all over ianfidance.com.
So funny. You're
Being
so
Ian
funny.
with Jordan is a podcast out every Wednesday on YouTube.
Which is
and,
killing it, by the way.
Yeah, it's really fun, man. I'd love for you to come and do it in New York.
Dude, I'd love to.
Yeah.
I love your podcast.
Oh,
And
thanks.
the algorithm loves your podcast because it's
Yes.
always showing me your podcast. It's really
Yes.
cool. I love it when
Feed it.
it's working.
It's working.
Plastic
Yes,
goods.
plastic goods.
Awesome.
I love you, buddy.
Love you
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you. That was Ian Fidance, everybody. Go to his shows. The link to his podcast is going to be in the comments wherever you find this. And I love you, and I'll see you next week. Until then, Hare Krishna. Bye.